welcome our blood viewers to RTD's News English Edition. As usual, we begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights. And on the international scene, COVID-19, the tidal wave, Omicron continues to course in France and Italy. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The Minister of Budget, His Excellency Mr. Isman Ibrahim Roble, accompanied by his Secretary General Mr. Simon Embrato, as part of a tour of contact were received this Wednesday, January 12, 2022, by the Director General of Taxes, welcomed by the Director General of Taxes, Mr. Saeed Geledarar, and members of his team of directors. The Minister was able to attend the presentation to the officials and staff of the DGI. The Director General of Taxes proceeded to a guided tour of the offices of the institution. Following this visit, the Minister attended a PowerPoint projection on the organization chart of the tax office, during which he was able to familiarize himself with the missions and attributions of the DGI during a brilliant presentation developed by the Director General of Taxes and his executives. The Minister delivered a message of encouragement to the whole team by urging the officials and agents of the DGI to ensure together the management of public resources. Tax policy is the foundation of our economic policy, continued the Minister, and we must succeed in implementing the measures of the 2022 Finance Act and work every day to preserve the collective interest. We are at the service of Djibouti citizens and have the duty to develop cultural or fiscal civic mindedness, said the Minister. In a speech by the Minister of Budget, Mr. Isman Ibrahim Roble, on this occasion, he explained that customs is an important element at the level of the ministry and said customs is an essential component of our system at the level of the Ministry of Budget, and I believe that without your contribution, we would not have been able to win the challenge of development in Djibouti and achieve multiple ambitions. It is important that the women and men be real professionals and people who with skill that are clearly adapted to the institutions that this institution is going through. In this regard, I would like to say that these people are defined and this is reflected in the good results that we are seeing, and because there are precisely those responsible who spare no effort in ensuring that the collective interest is preserved. And I'm aware of the efforts that the employees of these prestigious institutes contribute collectively to the national interest. And in this context, we will double our efforts and work, and we will not stop at these first results, but we will continue our activities and efforts and move forward. Around 10 a.m., it was the turn of the Directorate of Customs and Excise to give a special welcome to the Minister of Budget after a brief visit of the offices. The Director General of Customs and Indirect Rights, Mr. Guled Ahmed Yusuf, and members of his team made a presentation on the missions and attributions of the customs and presented the word system, a data processing software that allows interaction with a whole community of operators and partners such as General Directorate of Taxes, freight forwarders, maritime agencies, the National Treasury, Air and Seaports, LANA, and the National Institute of Statistics. The main objectives set by the DGDDI are the securing of state revenues, the protection of the territory against the entry of clandestine and dangerous products, the fight against smuggling and counterfeiting, a better quality of services to the operators of the place, the reduction of the clearance time and removal of goods, simplification of procedures towards a dematerialization of process, remote declaration, remote payment, post control, barcodes, and sharing of information with other systems, and other administrations, and an improvement of data exchange within the Ethiopian customs. In the amphitheater or conference room of the building and in front of the assembly of executives and brigade agents of customs, the Minister thanked the Director General and his entire team for his special welcome, urging them to continue their efforts and sacrifices because he believes that customs are at the heart of the process of generating resources, in balance with the expense and contributes over the state of basis of its operation and the guarantee of its development. The Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Mohammed Mahmoud, received today at the visit of the Ministry of Women and Family, Mrs. Muna Aden Usman, in his office. The meeting took place in the presence of the Secretaries General of both ministries and their staffs. The Minister of Women and Family first recalled the context of this working visit by her counterpart. She emphasized the mission to share with MENFOP the experience of her department in early childhood and preschool education. This was an opportunity for her to commend MENFOP's model in this area, particularly through the preschools, where young children are taken care of before their enrollment in basic education. Mrs. Muna gave a lengthy presentation on her ministry's experience and expressed her desire to engage in fruitful cooperation with MENFOP. This ambition was welcomed with enthusiasm by the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Muhammad Mahmoud, who took the opportunity to present the policy of his department, in particular, the progress made since the General States of Education of December 1999. He especially emphasized the transformative project of which preschool is an essential pillar in order to redress the quality and inclusion of the education system. Senior officials from both ministries took part in discussions of the challenge of gender mainstreaming in education and debated recommendations for implementing change. The results of the gender assessment in the area of workshop development were also shared with the participants. Finally, MENFOP and its distinguished visitors made mutual commitments to share each other's skills and expertise in order to get the most out of them. Moving on to the Minister of Women and Family, Madam Muna Usman Adam expressed her happiness for her visit to the Ministry of National Education and her meeting with the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training. For his part, the Minister of National Education and Vocational Training, Mr. Mustafa Muhammad, highlighted the importance of strengthening the existing cooperation between his ministerial department and the Ministry of Women and Family in the field of children's education. This Wednesday, January 12, in Dakhil, the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Madam Ulufa Ismail Abdo, accompanied by the Secretary General of UNIFD, Mrs. Fatuma Musa, women parliamentarians of the region, as well as the Director General of ADDS, proceeded to the launch of the National Week to the interior regions. The first stop on the way of the mission was the capital of the City of Unity. Upon their arrival, the delegation led by the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity was welcomed with grand pomp by the local authorities represented by the Deputy Prefect Yusuf Ali, as well as the President of the Regional Council, Mr. Abdurrahman Yunus. This National Week of Social Action, placed under the theme of the policy or fight against poverty towards more empowerment, is an opportunity to popularize the new strategy of the ministry, which aims to empower the most vulnerable layer of our society and ensure them better socio-economic conditions. In a brief speech delivered on this occasion, the sub-prefect of the region of Dakhil welcomed the Minister of Social Affairs and her accompanying delegation. Thanking them for the visit, Mr. Yusuf Ali stressed that this region benefits from the social programs of the ministry, like the rest of the interior regions, adding that the cash transfer project was launched a week ago, according to which each family receives an amount of 30,000 Djibourian francs. The visit of the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity in As'ila has the objective to have a close look at the conditions of the inhabitants who benefit from the various programs implemented to improve the living conditions of the poor. For his part, the President of the Regional Council of Dakhil, Mr. Abdurrahman Yunusari, said that the National Solidarity Week is an opportunity to assess the projects implemented during the recent period, as well as the necessary needs of the population in the region. This meeting also represents its important opportunity to review future projects that are merely aimed at improving the living conditions of the population, said the President of the Regional Council. In conclusion of his speech, Mr. Abdurrahman Yunus Are expressed his thanks and gratitude to the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Mrs. Ulufa Ismail Abdo, for choosing the region of unity, especially the locality of As'ila, at the beginning of her tour of the interior regions within the framework of the National Week of Solidarity. One of the highlights of this meeting with the population of As'ela was undoubtedly the part devoted to the grievances and in particular the expectations of the various stakeholders representing the inhabitants. During the exchange, the beneficiaries expressed their desire to see a greater number of individuals benefit from the project in order to further promote the economic growth of the region. The speakers emphasized the concrete benefits of the cash transfer program, which according to the population has helped many inhabitants of As'ela and its surroundings to overcome their precariousness, especially through small income generating activities. Among the expectations of the population, the representatives of the women and men of As'ela put forward their wish to see the amount of the transport increased and also extended to other members of their community. For her part, the Minister of Social Affairs and Solidarity, Madame Ulufa Ismail Abdou, pledged in a speech that respond to the requests submitted by the people of the Dakhil area as much as possible. Still on the path of visits, the delegation made a detour to the Minister's social counter, which is the Minister's gateway to programs. They also visited SEPEC of the Unity Region. The role of the social counter is to welcome, listen to, and identify the needs of families by conducting home social service. Finally, they visited the Savings and Credit Union, which is an institution that increases access of financial services to all socio-economic categories of the country, including microenterprises, the informal sector, women, and among young entrepreneurs. SEPEC is a real assist in the reduction of poverty. This institution has been increased in the number of its members to 40.96%, figure of 6,200 new members over the last 2 years. The Minister of Youth and Culture, Dr. Hiba Mumin Asawi, is currently participating in the Fourth World Youth Forum, which is taking place in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt. This forum launched in Sharm el-Sheikh in the south of Sinai under the high tutelage of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi addresses three main themes: peace, development, and creativity, through which a large number of topics of interest to the youth are discussed. Creating a platform for discussion during 3 consecutive days, several important topics such as climate change, the world after COVID-19, inclusive development, entrepreneurship, creativity, and innovation will be the focus of reflection during numerous sessions and workshops. The panelists, participants, and the youth of the world will be able to express their views and exchange on their respective experiences and make recommendations. The Djibouti delegation led by the minister took part yesterday in the opening ceremony in the presence of representatives of different countries and thousands of young people from around the world. As of Wednesday, January 12, 2022, the epidemiological situation of COVID-19 in the Republic of Djibouti is as follows. 46 patients declared cured, 680 tests were performed, 126 new positive cases were found, and 0 new cases of death. Out of 680 people tested, 126 positive cases of COVID-19 were recorded, which is a percentage of 18.53%. For those of you who have not been vaccinated, we urge you to get vaccinated without delay because vaccination remains the only effective way to protect yourself. For those of you who have already received their first doses of the vaccine, you now have the opportunity to take a third dose to boost your immunity against this virus. Texting and vaccination are completely free of charge, and the Ministry of Health has set up a mobile screening unit and vaccine buses that travel around the neighborhoods to bring these services closer to the population. As for the circulation of the virus, it is still high and calls for the respect of which remains essential. Wearing masks at all times in all places, physical distance of at least 1 meter, regular hand washing, protection of vulnerable persons. Let's all stay vigilant. Let's all protect ourselves and others. Let's all get vaccinated. The headquarters of the National Gendarmerie hosted this Tuesday, January 11, 2022, at 10 a.m. a ceremony of the occasion of the reception of vehicles types LTIF offered by the French Corporation for the benefit of the Intervention Group of the National Gendarmerie. On this occasion, His Excellency Mr. Arnaud Guilou, Ambassador of France to Djibouti, accompanied by the Interior Security Colonel Lieutenant Le Goff, moved to the barracks of Captain Hamadou of the Gendarmerie, where he was received by the Chief of Staff Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden. Before the official handing of ceremony of the ALTA vehicles, the French ambassador and the Chief of Staff of the Gendarmerie discussed cooperation, future projects of the Gendarmerie, and current events in Djibouti and the sub-region. At the end of this meeting, Mr. Arnaud Guilou, Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden, and Colonel Lieutenant Logoff went to the vehicles for the officials handing over of the key. The Chief of Staff of the Gendarmerie naturally expressed his sincere thanks to the French Corporation through Mr. Ambassador for the donation of these new ALTEFs and the constant support given to the Gendarmerie in the field of capacity building. As a reminder, the Gendarmerie Nationale had received on March 9, 2021 from the French Corporation a donation of ALTEF vehicles, followed by the transfer of a batch of ballistic protection equipment composed of vests and ballistic helmets. In accordance with the instruction of High Command, the GGM presented during the ceremony the ALTEFs. The traditional family photo closed the event. Moving on Monday, January 11, 2022, in Assistan, as part of the policy to fight against food insecurity, the prefect of the Oboh region, Mr. Abdul Malik Mohammed Bonoita, the president of the regional council, Mr. Mohammed Hamad Ismail, the subdirector of the regional livestock, Dr. Ibrahim, and the coordinator of FAO in Oboh, Mr. Ali Mohammed Ali, visited the locality in order to better understand the reasons for the decline in vegetable and other production. A meeting between the authorities, Okals, and farmers was held under a plever tree. The exchanges were sincere and fruitful, and concrete actions were decided on the spot. The objective of the authorities of the region is in line with the objectives assigned to the Ministry of Agriculture, namely to capitalize on the existing and improve agricultural productivity by providing appropriate responses to the difficulties encountered on the ground. To this end, in their exchange, the farmers were keen to raise the various problems they have encountered. Thereafter, the authorities, having listened to the grievances of these farmers, have affirmed their full support to provide adequate responses in close collaboration with the Ministry of Agriculture. At the end of the meeting, the authorities of the region went to the different gardens to see actions accomplished by the farmers thanks to the supervision of the Ministry of Agriculture and the FAO, and the constraints they face. At the end, new agricultural materials were given to them. The head of the regional council of the Oboh region noted that the visit of the governor of the region and cards from the Ministry of Agriculture to the district comes in order to respond to the requirements of the people living in this district of the Oboh government within the framework of the policy of combating food insecurity. He pointed out that Okals and the people's representative discussed the water problems and the favor to improve agricultural production. For his part, the government of Oboh region, Mr. Abdul Malik Mohammed Bonoita, confirmed that the visit comes with the framework of implementing the policy to combat food insecurity. He pointed out that several meetings were held with officials in the region and on the part of the government. The Prime Minister issued instructions to accompany farmers in order to enhance agricultural production. Diwana Zakat proceeded to the distribution of contribution of the second installment of pillagement of the year 2022 in the region of Tajorra. Every 3 months, 15,000 per person at this ceremony, presence of representatives of Diwana Zakat, Adan Hussein, and Prefect Habib Jilani, responsible for the Ministry of Waqf in Tajorra. Moving on towards the international scene now, COVID-19, the Omicron tidal wave continues its course in France and Italy. The Omicron tidal wave continues its course. More than half of Europeans could be affected by the Omicron variant within 2 months, according to the World Health Organization. In France, the pressure from the fifth wave of COVID is still mounting to the hospitals, which has more than 25,000 patients, including nearly 4,000 in critical care, according to figures released Tuesday night by Health Public of France. But as our blood viewers, we conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening and thank you once again for joining us.